Hello and welcome to the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. This is John Goodwin, your host. We're not just at DragonCon in Atlanta. We're also at the DragonCon Blood Drive with Gayden Unold, who's the director of the Life South Blood Drive overall for, I guess it's all of Florida? Or
We're actually in 3 states, Florida, Georgia, and Alabama.
Well,
yeah.
With that, welcome, Gayden.
Thank you. It's a real privilege to be here, and we love DragonCon, and we love science fiction.
So this specific blood drive is the Heinlein blood drive. So how did you get so much to become one with Heinlein?
It's a phenomenal story. It's a story I love to tell, and it's really quite simple. One day I was at work in Atlanta, and I got a call, and somebody said, "Hey, we want to have a blood drive at DragonCon." And this is in 2002.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I've never heard of DragonCon." And at the time, it's funny, I didn't have internet access at work.
Yeah.
And so I was just asking people, I'm like, what is DragonCon? And then slowly I finally started to get a picture, and I'm like, okay, we'll give it a shot. It's Labor Day weekend. We're already desperate for blood. It's downtown Atlanta. How bad can it be? We showed up with a bus parked underneath. If you've ever been to the Marriott, the little roundabout where the Papa John's is now, we parked in there, and there were 2 staff and me, and we drew 72 donors. And that's a lot of people. We were trying to leave, and the people were like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "We've got to go. We've been here 5 hours longer than we expected to. We need to go home." From that, those small little beginnings, we're now one of the largest blood drives in the country. This year, we're going to see about 4,000 people come through our door and participate in the blood drive. And it's all because, I answered the phone and said yes.
That's an amazing story.
I love it.
Now, just for the statistical aspect of it, so a person donates a pint of blood. How does that get separated out? How does it get used, and how many lives can that potentially affect?
Yeah, it's really quite simple. So we'll take that unit of blood that's drawn here, and then we break it down into 3 different components. We break it down into platelets, we break it down into plasma, and we break it down into red cells. Red cells carry oxygen, so if somebody has surgery or something like that, that's what they'll get it for. Plasma is your blood volume. Makes up about 50% of all your blood in your body is plasma. And then platelets are for cancer patients or somebody who's had mass bleeding and they need to help clot, because that's what platelets do, is they help clot. And to put it into perspective, any unit that's drawn today, I don't know, it's Saturday, I don't know the day of the month, but by Tuesday, the unit of blood that is drawn here today will be at a hospital waiting to go into another person's body.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about 4,000 people now, or actually more than 4,000, because if it's broken into 3 pieces, that's potentially then those 4,000 could be 12,000.
Yeah, and now we're getting in exponentials, and there are some. We also do apheresis, which is where they come in and we draw platelets, and we can draw triple platelets with a concurrent red cell. We also have a plasma machine that can pull the equivalent of 5 plasma dosages. So it's a lot.
Wow.
And I try to tell people, when I try to explain DragonCon, so if you're a listener, you've never been to DragonCon, I can't explain it. You have to experience it.
Yeah.
This is people's vacation. There's somewhere between 80 and 90,000 people here.
That's right.
And these people come from all over the world. We had a donor in here yesterday from New Zealand. I mean, where are you going to see that at? And we're just having a conversation, but it's an amazing thing that people on their vacation, they'll come and donate blood. And it's just the type of people that come to DragonCon.
Yeah. So now, obviously, when people hear this is going to be after DragonCon's over. So in terms of being able to donate blood in general, what are the guidelines for if someone wants to go to the local hospital or wherever, the local police station where they have the blood drives and stuff? Sure. What are the basic guidelines to know if you qualify?
Yeah, it's really simple. Be in good health. Mm-hmm. If you're taking, if you're a diabetic and on insulin, you can still donate. The only thing that can prevent you from donating, it is anything to do with your blood supply. So if you're on a blood thinner, that's a no. But almost everything else is a yes. Tattoos are okay.
Really?
Yeah.
What about if you came from England?
England is now we're getting into a mad cow, and that's a travel restriction. That was the next thing I was going to get into. I'm glad you brought it up. So if you've been into an area, if you lived in the UK, West Germany, basically Western Europe, in the late 80s and early 90s, there's a chance that you could have mad cow according to the FDA. We could have a whole conversation about the FDA. But it's a deferral. Also, if you've traveled to a place that has malaria in the last year. So if you went somewhere where it was a rainforest, it's a deferral. Now, if you were there for like a day trip, say you went to Jamaica, that's not a deferral, right? And then you took a tour through the rainforest. I don't know if there's a rainforest in Jamaica or not, but
the concept.
Yeah, the concept is there. But yeah, it's fine. Like if you went on a cruise ship, it's not a deferral.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more.
Is there a weight limit?
There is. It's 110 pounds.
Okay.
More people can donate than can't, but just not enough people do. Less than 5% of the population donates blood. And if you are a blood donor, I would encourage you to just do it one more time a year. That's what I tell everybody. If everybody who's already a blood donor just donated one more time a year, there would never be a blood shortage. But right now in the entire country, we have about a 2-day blood supply. And, you know, right now at Dragon Con, there's a hurricane off the coast of Florida. There's flooding all over the Midwest. There's wildfires in California. All of these things are a strain on our community's blood supply. And so if you're able to donate, I would just encourage you to please donate. And that's why I'm so thankful that you guys are helping to spread that word and giving out books and doing everything that you do.
Well, you're welcome, obviously, for that.
Thank you.
But I have a question. That on the, I don't know if it's still true, but I remember years ago, I used to run the American Red Cross program in where I went to university in Southern California. And if you donated blood, that if you're in a hospital and there's someone that donated and someone who didn't donate, that you get bumped ahead, like you can actually get blood over something. Is there some type of a thing like that?
There was something a long time ago called a credit system.
Yeah.
And so if you're a blood donor, you got credits. Mm-hmm. And if you weren't a blood donor, you had to pay that credit back or go get somebody to donate for you. Over the last 15 years or so, I'm not saying you went to college a long time ago or anything, John. But over the last...
They just discovered paper then.
There you go. There you go. Plastic's a new thing. You didn't donate in Bakelite or anything, did you? No. But now we don't have that credit system.
Okay.
Because one, it can be very difficult for somebody who constantly needs transfusions. You know, the rule of thumb is that 6 out of 10 people are going to receive a blood transfusion in their life.
Wow.
But if you break that down a little further, once you've had one blood transfusion, the odds are you're going to have 5. So because you may have a blood disorder, if you're going through cancer, you may have 100 blood transfusions in the course of that chemotherapy and radiation and the surgery or whatever. If you're sickle cell disease, you may have 1,000 in your lifetime. And so that's why we just put that credit system away, because it was such a huge burden to some people. So now, if you're a blood donor, it's really just to give so your fellow man can live.
Yeah.
Because the only time that blood is transfused from one human being to another is if that other person's life is at risk. You know, blood transfusions aren't done so, you want to get a little pep in your step? Go donate blood. It just doesn't work that way. It takes a prescription from a doctor, and it is prescribed like a pharmaceutical product. So we did away with the whole credit system and things like that. And now that the Affordable Health Care Act is in place, every insurance has to cover what they call the processing fee of the blood product. So that's also been eliminated.
Okay. That clarifies that, because I wasn't sure about that. Like I was going to say, donate so you can make sure that you can get bumped ahead of the line. Yeah,
no, it's a great question. I get it a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was that way, not for a short term, but for like 50 years.
Yeah.
That was the standard in the blood banking industry.
Right.
So, yeah, we've worked hard to get rid of it. And that's a lot of work with our hospitals saying this is silly.
Right.
So, yeah.
Good. So since we are here at Dragon Con, I mean, a couple of years ago, when we first met, it established the fact that there was a really strong relationship between Robert Heinlein and L. Ron Hubbard. Mm-hmm. They were actually best buds when they were growing up. Mm-hmm. And so we provided the Battlefield Earth book originally.
Correct.
And now the Writers of the Future book.
In hardback.
Yes. So did that... Tell me about, like, in terms of your take of that, how that was.
I thought it was phenomenal. It's a classic science fiction read. The people who got it couldn't believe that we were giving away this book, and they were like, "No, wait, this is free." I'm like, "Yeah, Galaxy Press gave it to us to give to you. And then they would read the letter, and then it really starts to make sense. And Robert Heinlein is a huge figure in the world of blood banking, as well as science fiction. And the reason you have blood drives at a lot of these cons all over the country is because of Robert Heinlein. He created a special pin that we gave out. It's a heart with a little SF on it for science fiction. But he was a huge supporter of the hemophiliacs. And so there was a time when you were talking about the credit system, they really struggled in getting blood donations for these individuals, right? I mean, it was a real chore to make up that credit system. And so what Robert Heinlein did is he helped set up blood drives, and he would only sign autographs if you were a blood donor. So if he came and did an autograph session, you had to have a blood drive. And then with that blood drive, then he would sign an autograph. And Robert Heinlein's a father of science fiction. You can tell that it would be a big deal. So, again, blood donation and science fiction conventions go hand in hand. And Robert Heinlein coined the term pay it forward. And that's what this blood drive is. It's the pay it forward Robert Heinlein Society blood drive. And that's why we're at Dragon Con, because the Robert Heinlein Society said, look, we want to have a blood drive. And Dragon Con is always looking for good charities, and that's how it all started.
That's great. And then this year we got Writers of the Future.
Yes.
L. Ron Hubbard presents Writers of the Future Volume 35.
There's some amazing artwork in there.
Exactly. And so that whole premise of that, too, why when L. Ron Hubbard started the contest, that was also that premise of paying it forward. And so all the different writers and illustrators who are the judges, that's their premise of doing that. So it even makes it more appropriate that we have that book because that pay it forward to a program that's already based on paying it forward. Well,
if you look at Dragon Con, and I know I'm being focused on Dragon Con, but Dragon Con started because a couple of people liked science fiction, and then it grew. Right? But the only way something like this grows is if you put stuff back into it, right? If you sow that seed and you water it, you cultivate it. And that's what I see everywhere at Dragon Con is people bringing in that next generation of sci-fi readers. And that's why I think the book Battlefield Earth was so, people are like, what is this? And they're like, what? This is one of the bastions of science fiction in the world. And so many other books and science fiction realms, they can go back and touch Battlefield Earth and say, look, that's exactly where that came from. That's a direct descent, if you will, from Battlefield Earth and everything that Robert Heinlein wrote.
Absolutely.
So
that's good. That's a pretty good little summation of it there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I was told yesterday that the artwork that you had for this year's donation is a painting that was done by Cirilla, one of our judges, that they get for donating blood. But you were interested in possibly using some of our illustrators of the future winners to do that.
Yeah, it's really simple. What we try to do, this blood drive is special for many reasons, but we want to connect with this group. Nobody gets this group like this group. If you were to have an outside artist, somebody who had never been to Dragon Con, it's not going to have the same emotion or evoke the same feeling. And so what we've done for the last, 10 years is I've worked with a local artist from Dragon Con to design the T-shirt. This year it was Cirillo, and if you haven't seen the shirt, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
And so I saw Emily, and I said, Emily, I see all this great artwork in your book. And she goes, yeah, we have Illustrators. I'm like, I had no idea. And so she's like, well, we'll do something so those future illustrators can get, make a design and have it on the T-shirt. And for us, it's incredible. We don't pay you anything.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of publicity. You'll have almost 4,000 people walking around with a design on their back. And then we do so much social media and things like that. I know last year with our blood drive, I think our exposure was something like almost 50,000 people saw something about the blood drive. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That is really powerful. And this group is so giving. And they're just from all over the world. So you can touch a lot of different people. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they come up with, because the only rule is it's on a black T-shirt. It's a vertical display. It has to be printed for a T-shirt, but we can do full color. And we'd like to have a dragon on it. Outside of that, go crazy.
Go crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's
literally
great.
Go crazy. It's Dragon Con. You can do almost anything here.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely have a lot of winners that, several are from the South here that have been here to Dragon Con, so we can do a special a shout out to all of them.
Can't
For
wait.
anybody that wants to, then just anybody that opt-ins, then we can then connect them up. And
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what people, because
we got some amazingly talented artists.
I
with
am not,
illustrators.
I talk for a living. I'm not a creative person. I can't do math. I'm an okay writer of a paragraph. But when you walk around like in the art show and you see these artists, you're like, how in the world did you do that? I'm just like some of the costumes. I'm like, I can't think that way. I'm like, I don't even know how to start that. So I'm always amazed and impressed by artists. Maybe it's because I'm not one.
Yeah, I recently saw. I was going through some of my old papers, and I found an original illustration my mom saved for me when I was like, I don't know, first grade or something like that, of a painting.
Uh-huh.
And my art hasn't changed at all in all those years. It's still the same stick person.
It hasn't evolved.
It hasn't evolved.
You're like, Mom, you had to save this one? Was this the best there was? Wasn't it a set of 10? Yeah, I really believe that it's just one of those talents that's God-given or wherever it comes from. It's some people have it and some people don't.
Yeah.
I'm not a musician. I'm not very tall. I have no hair. But I can talk for a living. That's all I got.
Well, that's a good thing because you're
thank
doing
you.
amazingly good stuff with this
I love it.
program.
I love it. I've worked at the Blood Center now for 22 years, and I'm passionate about it. And I love Dragon Con. It's the centerpiece of everything we do. And I love meeting with people like you and people who are so giving and care about our community the way they do. To give this year you gave away 1,000 of the books of the future writers, and that's giving back to this community in a way that people don't understand.
Yeah.
Some things go past dollars and cents, and it's about, what, this is the right thing to do, and this is the right group to do with it, and it'll come back. Mm-hmm. It always does.
I have no doubt about that at all.
Yeah.
It's such a good relationship we have with Dragon Con.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Henrys, the people who run Dragon Con are amazing. They give us this space. They're like, I just met with him. He goes, what can I do? I'm like, well, you can tweet about it. He goes, nobody follows me on Twitter. I'm like, I'm not you, Dragon Con. He goes, oh, okay. And he yells at the person next door. He goes, can you do that? I'm like, yes, sir. I'm like, there you go. There you go. Problem solved.
That's Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was our keynote speaker at Rise of Future a few years ago and talked all about dragons.
It's amazing. He's an amazing guy. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I've known him since the 80s.
Oh, wow. Well, you probably knew him when he was, as I would tell him,
when he had all the comic stores.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, how'd you get into it? His story is phenomenal. That's probably a podcast.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. He's a good guy.
He's definitely a good guy. So if somebody wants to learn more about donating blood or anything, is there a place that they can write or look to find out?
Yeah, there's a couple of different places. You can just Google blood drive, and that'll take it to you in your area, where that's the American Red Cross or a community nonprofit blood center like Life South. Life South's obviously at lifesouth.org. We're in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. We supply about 115 hospitals throughout the Southeast. But no matter where you're at, you can type in giveblood.org, and it'll take you to where you need to be. So that's one of those national websites that just about, I think it covers almost the entire United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. So giveblood.org is the way to go.
Wow.
And please give. Please give. I don't care where you give. Just give, because there is a serious, serious need out there for blood donations. And as I said, the country right now has a 2-day blood supply. And natural disasters seem to be occurring more and more for whatever reason. But we just need more blood donations.
Just that. What's the normal amount of supply of blood that we have? Is it normally like 2 days, or?
Well, what we'd like to have is 7, right? Because if we have 7, if you think about it this way, if for example, Life South with this hurricane, if we were to not be able to collect blood for 2 days, which is a real possibility with a hurricane because of the tornadoes and the flooding and the power lines, it's not uncommon to not have power for 7 days. Then after 2 days, there would be no blood in our community. After 2 days, on day 3, people start dying because of a lack of a blood supply. Again, the only time the blood is transfused from one human being to another is if that person would die without it. So that means we're 2 bad days from people dying because of something we have enough of.
Right.
It's a renewable resource. There's no reason for us to have a blood shortage in this country. So it's why I get up in the morning.
Well, I'm glad you get up every
well,
morning.
thank you. Thank you. Me too.
Thank you very much, Galen. And thank you, everybody that's been listening to this Writers of the Future podcast. Subscribe to the Writers of the Future podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Writers and Illustrators of the Future are contests created by L. Ron Hubbard to provide a means for the aspiring writer and artist to be seen and acknowledged. It is free to enter and open to new and amateur short story writers and artists of science fiction or fantasy. Once again, thank you very much, Galen.
Thank you, John, for everything. It's been great. Galaxy Press is amazing.